is Mrs. Rube. I'm back. We are going to finish, we're back with our book, Ungifted by Gordon Korman. We're going to finish our chapter that is written by or through the perspective of Katie Patterson, IQ 107. It's called Unreal, and we are picking up about in the middle of the page on page 190. So this is Katie talking. I'm going to back up just a hair. He walked right up to me, smiled warmly, and held out his hand. I'm Dr. Schultz, superintendent of the Hardcastle schools. I came specifically to meet you, Mrs. Patterson, and thank you for what you're doing for this class. Well, that's why he looked familiar. He used to be the principal at North High when I was a cheerleader at Hardcastle. He's the jerk who lodged a complaint that our uniforms were too minimalist. He'd been a stuffed shirt back then, and it didn't seem as if he had changed now, but he had the top job. But all that was in the past, especially my cheerleading career. I was a mature adult, almost a mother. I shook his hand. I'm happy to do it. They're great kids. Dr. Schultz went on for a while about how selfless I was. People should follow my example. My brother was so grateful, blah, blah, blah. He seemed to think that A, Donnie needed the credit I was providing, and B, Donnie was actually here and not in the bathroom. Neither Oz nor Mr. Del Rio corrected him, though. I guess you don't interrupt a superintendent even when he hasn't got his facts straight. Then Donnie made his return. At least he started to. His head poked in through the doorway. His eyes widened in horror at the sight of Dr. Schultz, like I was standing with Count Dracula, not the superintendent of schools. Donnie backed up and was gone in a heartbeat. No one else noticed him. For sure, Schultz didn't. I don't claim to be an expert, but I knew my brother, and he was scared to death of the guy. Something was up. The class went on to show Dr. Schultz some of the work we've been doing. He seemed impressed by the echocardiogram and the sonogram footage, but he didn't have much patience for Noah's new breathing technique. The superintendent had begun glancing impatiently at his watch. Noah wasn't offended. That's okay. You can watch it on my personal YouTube channel called Eucalicious. Let me introduce you to Tin Man at least, Oz offered. That's my dog Max saying hello. He looked around for his designated driver. Where's Donovan? Not on another one of his extended bathroom breaks. Some other time, Dr. Schultz said briskly. He turned to me. Thank you once again, Mrs. Patterson. You're a credit to the Hardcastle community. And he and the principal slipped out of the lab. I waited a few minutes and then took a bathroom break of my own. Once in the hallway, I headed straight for the boys' room, figuring my brother would be holed up in there. I threw open the door and broadcast a warning. Big stomach waddling in. There's nobody here but us toilet paper, was the timid reply. You can come out now, Donnie. The guy's gone. He emerged from his stall wearing a guilty look that I'd seen a million times before. I folded my arms, resting them on the shelf that my stomach now formed. All right, out with it. He looked haunted. You don't want to know. Of course I don't want to know, but I think I have to. Not even growing up in the same house with Donovan could have prepared me for the story that I heard next. Donnie, the Atlas statue, the Hardcastle gym. As reality checks go, this one had me pinching myself to see if I was hallucinating. If it wasn't impossible, on rare occasions, the chemical changes of pregnancy have been known to bring on psychotic episodes. I got that from Noah himself. I heaved a sigh. And you had the nerve to blackmail me over something as insignificant as a sick dog who wasn't even sick? That's low. He shrugged miserably. I'm sorry, but I'm trying to make myself a part of this class. They need you. So they're stuck with me, regardless of how ungifted I am. Your teachers are going to notice that you don't measure up, I pointed out gently. They already noticed. They had me retested. I passed. No way. He reddened. Well, it wasn't really me. Somebody hacked into the computer I was using and did the test for me. Honest, I had nothing to do with it. I don't even know who it was. I groaned. That's worse. You've taken one of those brilliant students and corrupted him or her. I thought of Chloe, who seemed to be my brother's biggest fan. Well, what choice did I have? He demanded, practically whining. Bevilacqua already raked me over the coals trying to get me to confess. Did you ever consider going to Dr. Schultz and owning up? He was outraged. Oh, sure, and Mom and Dad will collect soda bottles to get the money to fix the gym. I was astounded. Who said we'd have to pay? Come on, Katie. I may not be gifted, but I read the papers. The district is getting stiffed by the insurance company. Somebody has to pick up the tab. Why not the guy who did it? I can't lay all that on Mom and Dad, not with money so tight and Brad out of the picture and you moping around big as a whale. Even the dog went and made more problems. This is the worst possible time for me to add to all that. I was thunderstruck, staring at my idiot brother with a new respect. This was the first indication I'd ever had that Donnie was aware of anybody besides himself. It jarred me down to my swollen ankles. Give me some time to mull this over, I told him. I'd like to get Brad's opinion. Maybe he'll have an idea how we can explain all this to Dr. Schultz. Tell him to come quick, Donnie advised, and bring his tank. And right there, in the bathroom, where I didn't belong, in the academy where he didn't belong, the two of us shared a brother-sister hug. Reality check. Dad kept a picture on his desk of the last time that happened. Disney World, 2002. I was 16. Donnie was 3. I'm going to keep going a little bit because the next chapter is pretty short. It's called Unmasked by Dr. Schultz. IQ 127. I was in my car heading back to the office. Something didn't sit well with me. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Expressing my appreciation to Mrs. Patterson had been the right thing to do. We all had dodged a bullet thanks to her. She had saved the district an enormous amount of aggravation. Irate parents, frantic phone calls, summer plans changed, complaints to the school board, and maybe even the state. It would have been the biggest screw-up of the year. Well, second biggest. Perhaps it was the academy itself that had unnerved me. That place always made me uneasy. Don't get me wrong, gifted programs are an essential resource for a school district. The problem with them is that they attract so many know-it-alls. I stopped at a light, frowning. Something Kyle Osborne had said was still rattling around in my head. I couldn't recall the name. Dominic Donnelly, followed by not another one of his extended bathroom breaks. Extended bathroom breaks. That was the answer. It was common enough for an unmotivated student to kill time in the bathroom, hoping to make the day speed by, but not at the academy. There were no mediocre students there. And if one of our best and brightest had decided to squander his placement, he should step aside in favor of someone who wouldn't waste the opportunity. As soon as I got back at my desk, I called Brian Del Rio. Maybe he could identify this missing kid. He was out of the office. Page him, please, I said, and sat back to wait. As my eyes passed over the screensaver on my computer, it occurred to me that Brian might not be my only source of information about this class. There was also Noah's YouTube channel. I winced. Eucalicious? Not the easiest name to spell, but I found it soon enough and stared in amazement. 114 featured videos? Noah had the highest IQ in the history of the district, but from the looks of this, all the boy did was run around with a flip camera. My attention was instantly drawn to Tin Man Metallica SquarePants exposes teacher's underwear. God bless America, it had already been viewed more than 6,000 times. That wasn't good. What could be a bigger screw-up than a lawsuit over the misconduct of a robot? Oh. I clicked on the link and the clip began to play. It showed Maria Bevilacqua laying papers on a semicircle of desks. As she moved, Tin Man rolled into the picture, falling in behind her, matching her pace almost perfectly. The forklift mechanism began to rise, catching the hem of her full peasant skirt. Up it went until there was more of Miss Bevilacqua on the screen than I cared to see. Judging by the giggles in the background of the video, the last person to notice this was Maria herself. When she finally did, the screech prompted my computer to warn me that my speakers were in danger. And right before the clip ended, the camera swung around and focused on the student who was operating the robot's joystick controller. My blood turned to ice in my veins. It was. I had a vision of an upturned face staring wide-eyed into the wreckage of the Hardcastle gym. That nameless face was the first thing I saw every morning and the last thing I saw every night. It had starred in my wildest nightmares, taunting me, driving me crazy for weeks. Dominic Donnelly Donovan. It was him. Thanks, guys. We'll continue next time. Hope you're doing great.